So now it gives me great pleasure to turn this over to Tom Morrison. He's the CEO of the Metal Treating Institute, as well as president of Tom Morrison Associates. And Tom's been a great supporter of ours. And so, Tom, thank you again for helping us out on our 30 on Thursday. And I'll turn it over to you.
Well, Kevin and Sherry, thank you so much for hosting me today. This is such a great topic that I love. I was telling Kevin and Sherry earlier that this webinar is the only thing standing between my vacation in Punta Cana with 5 other couples in the association space and having a good time. So I'm excited to be here with y'all. I'm pretty pumped. I'm going on vacation, so you're going to get a lot of excitement from me today. But I'm excited every day, and this webinar really digs into that because what I believe is that association work, the thing that we work in, everybody listening on this webinar, it is the greatest industry in the world. Why? It's a dream job because every day we come into office, we get to give someone hope. We get to make a difference in someone's life. We get to take someone who is in a bad situation and move them in a good situation because of the training, the benchmarking, the networking, the peer review, everything that we do as associations simply helps people move from a point A to point B where they are having a greater life, greater enjoyment, less stress, and a better place to live and hope for the future. But here's the thing about that process is that in life, you can't give what you don't have. So if you're not personally fulfilled and personally feeling joy, you can't in an authentic way portray that onto someone else and help them because it'll look kind of fake and it won't be genuine. And so today's webinar is really about how to get personal joy so it fuels your professional development so you can give it with passion. Because frankly, if we come into work every day without passion, our job just becomes a job. And how can you do just a job where you get to actually make a true difference in people's lives? And so today, I'm going to teach you 3 key elements that you need to pay really close attention to that's going to help you get from point A to point B and be personally fulfilled so you can fuel your professional development. So I just wrote a book called The Dash, Making Sure Your Obituary Won't Suck. And that's a crazy title, right? But it's really true because everybody in the world, there's only one thing in our entire life that is common to all 7 billion people in the world. And it's this thing you see on the screen. It's the dash. Everyone has a dash. It's going to be there when you pass. It was there when you were born because when you were born, it gave you a starting date. And at some point in time, you're going to have an ending date. And that dash in the middle represents every single experience, every emotion, every connection, and every achievement in your life. It is everything. And I was saying before, if you're not personally fulfilled in life, you're never going to be professionally fulfilled. When you're not personally fulfilled in life, and you're going to work just really becomes a distraction and a medicated thing to get you away from the pain that you're experiencing in your personal life. Maybe you just feel like your life's going through the doldrums, or you're what my brother calls a floater, or you just feel like you can never get a break. And even people that seem like they have it all together, everybody has a little something that's keeping them from being the best they can be. So what happens in that dash, and what I want you to focus in on is, what does your dash look like? Because everybody's got one, and what happens in between. So let me tell you a little bit about me so you get to see who you're talking with. This is my dash. And when you look at my dash, my friends look on my Facebook feed, and Kevin and Sherry can corroborate this. They think I live a king's life. And I've worked very hard in my life, and I do live a king's life. The last 12 years, I got hired at Metal Treating Institute. I've been CEO of 3 different organizations. The current association, we've experienced over 1,500% growth in 12 years in net worth. That is amazing. I'm a certified life coach, which is why I like doing this stuff here. I love getting people to get life and go from being non-accomplished to accomplished and fulfilled. I wrote 2 books. I speak over 25 times a year professionally, as well as being CEO of the Metal Treating Institute. Married to a great wife. I got 3 grown kids, all self-sufficient, and married, which, that makes me rich again as a dad. But I'm going in the poorhouse again because I've just recently had 2, in the last 17 months, 2 grandchildren. So got a lot going on in our life, and I've also served in a lot of capacities at my state SAE, and I was voted Executive of the Year in 2012 in Florida. And that looks like a great dash, and it's where I wanted to be when I was in high school. Because think about it. When you came out of high school, you had this great vision of looking at your age and looking at the quality of life, and everybody is shooting for a 10 when they walk out of high school. You got college, you got the dream job you want, you got the dream spouse you want, you got the dream things that you're thinking about, vacations and doing. And then along the way, something happens called life. And you get things like, dating. Dating is never what you think it is when you come out of high school and get into college. You need that rule book. No one ever told you how to do it. That draws you back. Kids Kids can take a lot out of your life because they demand a lot. And then you have your first mortgage. So all these things along the way end up taking the line that you see here, and what people expected to live in their vision after high school typically becomes so much less because all these things are getting in the way. And then you have health issues that drop on top of that, that can be on top. So a lot is happening with people's lives that draw them away from what they thought. Now you look at my king's life. Here's what people don't know. This is what is in my backstory. That was me as a great 7 or 8 month old. That was me in college at 22 when I graduated. And that's me today. But in my past, I mean, along the journey, I've had 2 divorces. One of my divorces, I was sitting in my mom's room with $36,000 of credit card debt at 18%, no job, had recently divorced, and had child support coming along the way, and had all these things just raging upon me. And I remember sitting beside my bed going, I've got 2 choices here. I can sink further into this mess, or I can say, you know what, enough's enough. I'm going to change the way I do stuff, And we're going to talk about how you make that change. But you look, you know, all this stuff was really weighing on me. And you have to make a choice. Being happy sometimes is a choice. So that's my backstory that no one ever gets to see on Facebook, because all we see on Facebook typically is a highlight reel. And every single one of us listening on this has some of this stuff going into your life. So when you talk about personal development, looking at how we want to function professionally, what is going on in many people's lives? Well, studies show that in careers, 55% of people are unhappy in their jobs. And a recent study by that Prop Fuel showed, a company that specializes in workforce development, they show that only 15% of people actually say they're passionate about going into work every day. That's 85% of people who are not as productive at their work. They're not professionally developing. Why? Because something between their personal life and work life is missing. And relationships, 50 people get divorced. I mean, I got some friends going through a divorce right now, and it's totally taken them away from being the best they can be at their work and getting fulfilled. Financial, 56% of people have some level of debt and collection. Finances is the #1 killer of marriage and stressor of people's lives, because not having enough stresses people out. But there's ways around that. And then your physical health. About 2/3 of people are considered overweight or out of shape, and it's impacting their health. And I know when I'm working out, I feel much better about going into work. So this is where we kind of sit as a society, which is kind of crazy. And I don't know if you fit in any one of those. Some of us probably do. I know I fit in a couple periodic in my life. And then you ask the question, well, what holds us back, Tom? What holds us back from being all we can be? And a lot of it is self-doubt. These 4 things really hold people back. On the top left, you have comparison. I don't know if you sit there like, I've got my wife, she has said at times, I don't know if I can be that because I'm just not that person. That person has so much more. And I try and convince her that, no, you have all the strength that you could need to move from here to there and get what you want. So comparison plays a huge role. So are you stepping back from opportunities because you're comparing yourself to people you perceive because of how you feel about yourself? And the one on the top right is fear. Many people fear failure. And I want to encourage you in this world to not fear failure. It's only through failure that you learn who you are and learn where you need to go to be who you want to be for the future. So fear is a big one. The one on the left, in this society today, unfortunately, many people are in this blame game. They're standing at point A and they want to go to point B, and they just stand still and they're pointing the finger at somebody or something, going, it's your fault that I can't get to point B, when there's a clear path to point B. But for some reason, they just don't want to move. They just want to blame someone. So, we need to work past the blame. And then the big one is your past. You saw my past. And sometimes you have to put that past on the table and talk about it in order to move forward. And I love this saying that I had some friends say to me, that if you're looking in the mirror, you're going to miss what the future has for you. And that future is the exit. Sometimes we stay on a highway way longer than we were supposed to, because we're looking at in the mirror at the back of everything behind us, instead of looking for the exit that your opportunity says, take this and I've got something great for you. So I want to encourage everybody to, when you get off this webinar, take this. I'm sure Kevin and Sherry have these slides that you can get. Take this slide and ask yourself, which one of these, comparison, fear, blaming others, or your past, is holding you back personally as well as professionally? I know there's a lot of this stuff goes on in the professional office space, but which one's holding you back? And then you can zero in and deal with it. So I developed for my second book this thing called the personal GDP. To me, this is the key to everyone living an amazing life, because it quantifies where you are in life and how you feel about life. So personal GDP, everybody has one. Just like the dash, everybody has a personal GDP. And the GDP stands for goals, discipline, and persistence. And I'm going to now dig into what that means and how you can actually calculate your personal GDP. And what it does, it shows you where to look and focus on what you're unhappy about in your life. So the GDP is made up of 12 key elements that are broken down into 3 sections of the GDP. So number 1 is goals. G stands for goals. If you're going to go anywhere in your professional life, it's imperative that your personal life, you have a simple goal every single year. My wife sits down in December every year and we talk over a glass of wine what our goals are going to be in these 4 areas. The first one, top left, is your career. What is your goal for your career for the coming year? And it doesn't have to be some grandiose thing because you just want one. If every year you're completing one goal in these 4 areas, I can promise you that you're going to see great changes in your life over time. Section 2 there is your finances. Finances is the most undervalued thing and management of it in everybody's life. You need to check in your finances of a budget of what you need today. And then you obviously need to put forward a savings plan for the future, because believe me, here's the one thing I know. Money value is over time, and the longer you have to wait to save your money for retirement in the future, the less chances you're going to have to not work when you're 65. So it's imperative you have a savings plan, that you put money aside. And the big thing I tell people is in finances, you need to critically be able to write a check for $1,000 at any moment. You need to put $1,000 aside, whether it's a credit card to pay in 2 months or put $1,000 in a savings account, because that air conditioner is going to break, that car is going to go bad, or a health condition is going to come out of nowhere, and it's going to be at the least possible time that you could afford to have it. So always plan in your budget every year $1,000 to just sit out to the side. And then you got a buffer zone that you can feel confident about. The reason we get stressed in life is because we don't have confidence in our finances, because there's not enough, and time, which we're going to talk about. So the next one is the bottom right, is your health. It's imperative you have one goal for health. It could be lose a little weight. It could be lose inches. It could be, I want to bench press 200 pounds for you young guys out there. Anything. So you want to make one for that. And the last thing on the left is relationships. And this doesn't mean necessarily marital or dating. It means all relationships. For example, my wife and my goal for this year in 18, we live in a square set of condos in a courtyard. And our goal, because I'm the president of the association, is to reach out and connect in 2018 with more of our residents and get to know them personally. That's our sole relationship goal. So when you leave this webinar, you want to think the next couple of days, if you're single by yourself or with friends or with your spouse, what is my one career goal? What is my one financial goal? What is my one financial goal? Maybe just to be debt-free. That's one big one for people. And then the next one is your health and your relationships. You got to have a goal on each of those to be fulfilled in life and accomplish them. So the big thing for the future, though, about looking at your goals is knowing what's transpiring around us that's going to have the biggest impact. There's 2 things that are going to impact you personally and professionally, and you need to hear this out and take heart in it. So there's demographic shifts going on right now. Baby boomers was the largest generation in history, and it fueled the 80s and the 90s from an economic growth standpoint, fueled it big time. So many people made money because they invested, they worked right. Gen X has been a little bit of a downer just because there weren't enough of them. People didn't have enough babies during that 20-year span to have enough of them. So there's 10 million fewer of them. They add to the market for sure, but there's just fewer of them in numbers. So there's less things being bought in the people that are in their 30s and 40s right now. But here's the thing. The millennials are 100 million strong over 25 years, and the oldest one is 32. So I share with this for you because this impacts your job, your livelihood, your everything, home values. As a person looking at marketplaces, you want to look and see, gosh, I want to be with companies and associations and industries that are going to be involving anyone in their 70s. Why? Because the oldest baby boomer just hit 72, and there's a record number of baby boomers coming through. Look at the one before them. There were 49 million people before that in that quadrant. Now there's 79, almost double the generation coming into their 70s. So you want to be a part of any organization, any company and a job, because they're going to have record growth with people that buy what they buy in their 70s. Millennials, you want to be a part of organizations that are supporting industry and people that are in their 30s. Because why? Because there's 100 million millennials, record number of them coming through the system at that. So there's going to be a record number of homes sold, record number of cars sold, record number of cell phones. Anything a 30-year-old buys for the next 20 years is going to be fueled by the millennials. And here's the thing to remember. The 20s and the 30s of this century are going to be like the 80s and 90s of last century. They're going to be the highest growth years economically we've seen in the United States, because when all the millennials get in the economy with all the baby boomers living longer now, that money in itself, along with the Gen X generation, we're going to have so many people consuming goods that it's going to be great for people that are in the right jobs and the right businesses in the right industry. So association work is a great place. You want to be in the right industries. The second thing really quick to think through is technology changing your personal life and your work life. There are robotics being designed and automation being designed, implemented into industries right now that's going to eliminate jobs. And you could be getting yourself all geared up, educated, and getting ready to go out for a career, 20-year career, and that job's eliminated in 5 years. It's imperative that you're studying the technology and the automation coming in every industry, because the Uberization of every industry is happening. And you don't want to have yourself on a track with a career where it's going to disappear in 5 to 6 years. You want it to grow. So it's imperative that you're studying, because you may be great at a job today, but because that industry made changes and you didn't change with it, you worked your way out of a job because you weren't prepared and got yourself valuable enough to stay workable and hireable in a changing economy, and it's changing fast. So technology is going to shift. So stay on top of these technologies. These are the 9 or 10 that are the big ones that are having a big impact over the next 20 years. So number 2, D stands for discipline. These 4 areas are the things I believe control 99% of your success in those 4 goals that we talked about earlier. And they are: the right is money. How you spend your money is going to dictate how your life's going to be. How you spend your time, the right, bottom right, how you spend your time. The bottom left, who you surround yourself with is key to your success. And the top left is a sideways Y. I equate that to your decision-making process, how you make decisions in that. So when you look at any of your goals, career, relationships, health, and finances, if any one of them are out of sync and you just don't feel good they're going the right direction, I can guarantee you can go back and look at these 4 areas, and it involves that you've not made the right decisions yet, you're spending your money wrong, you're not investing your time right, or you're surrounded by the wrong people giving you the wrong message. So anytime your life's not going the way you think it is, both professionally and personally, I'd sit down and just write down, have I made the right decisions? Is my money invested in the right places? Am I spending it right? And time and people. I guarantee you that's controlling all the success that you need to do, and you just need to implement that. And I want to really focus in this area on the people in your inner circle. It's imperative that if you're going to grow personally and professionally, that you're surrounded by people in your inner circle who encourage you and want to help you get to where you're going. And you want to run people that are going the same direction, not professionally, but just running with goals and vision in their life. Because here's the thing, the bottom phrase there, you are the sum of all those that you surround yourself with. As one guy said in a seminar we were in, if you hang with C students, you're going to be a C player. If you hang with A students, you're going to be an A player. You want to hang with people. Another friend told me one time, if I was going to go learn to play golf better, and I'm shooting 90 and I want to shoot 80, I don't go ask for help from somebody shooting 100. I get someone that's shooting 80. So are you surrounding yourself with the right people? And this visual is so powerful because it gives you the 5 types of people that are always going to be tuned into your life. Your customers, your family, your employees and fellow workers, your friends and industry colleagues. That's 5 different groups of individuals. And here's the thing, that darker inner circle, that's your inner circle of people that engage and encourage your life and help you grow. People take away from your life, and you need to eliminate those from your life. Doesn't mean you don't talk to them. It just means you don't run with them. And here's a key thing that you need to understand. Just because they were your best friend years ago, or they're your family member, does not give them permission to stay in your life in that inner circle. You have the authority to take ownership of your life and say, look, I just can't hang around with you because you don't add nothing to my life. You constantly take away. So it's imperative the people that you constantly listen to, that you're constantly running with, that have impact on you, are the people that are encouraging and moving your life, both personally and professionally. I've seen that many times. I've seen people actually get out of people's circles, and they've excelled at what they did because the people are bringing them down. So who you surround yourself with is so key. And here's the number 2 influence, time management. I talked about that time thing. When you don't have time management is so critical. If you could see all the stuff I work on at MTI and speak 25 times a year and do my president of my condo association and have 2 grandkids and visit our kids, you would say, Tom, how do you do it? This is the key. I have learned to say no. When my cup is full, it is full. I've learned to put everything on the counter. When I work out, it's on the counter. When I take vitamins regularly, it's on the counter. When my wife goes out on a date with me, it's on the counter. Everything's on the counter. And here's the thing, anything on my calendar that's like, if you called me and said, Tom, can you call me next week and we talk about for a few minutes an idea I've got? I go out and I put a 15-minute call on Monday, but it only may take 5 minutes. But I give myself enough time in my calls and my to-dos to give me a buffer zone so I'm not stressed where everything's backed up. That is so crucial. And you need to do the last thing, which is eliminate the time wasters in your life that takes away. If you want some of my time, I'm going to put you on the calendar. And here's the last thing on the time management thing. My wife and I downloaded Calendoo. It ties into your Google Calendar, and it's Calendoo, Calendoo. And it basically sucks in all the calendars I've created. And on my phone, I know 100% of everything desiring time in my life on my phone. And it helps me stay very well versed on where I need to be and what I need to do. So time management between no money, squeezing on the money side and putting too much in your time on your schedule, that is what stresses people out. So you need to have a system that helps you do both of those better. So here's we've already talked a little bit about financial management. You need to remember, this is the number 3 influence on your personal development. It's not what you make, it's what you keep that matters. And it's imperative that you do a couple things I mentioned earlier. Sit down and draw up a budget so that you can see where you're short, so you can build a plan. I've got a budget that goes month by month, and I can see literally before I get to the end of the year, I can see in January what months I'm going to be short. And I'm just like, how do I make more money to cover that? Or how do I move money from one month to the other? Most people don't budget because they don't want to look at it. And they get to that month and they're hard up and they're angry and they're mad because they're so stressed with financial. Get ahead of the ball game and get yourself financially prepared by having a plan with that. It'll help you tremendously. So number 4 is the characteristics needed for success. If you're going to go do awesome at your goals that you set, and you're going to be doing right decisions in the money, time, and people element, here's the 4 characteristics. This is the persistence part of the GDP. It's really imperative that you have a great attitude in your personal life and in your professional life. No one likes the negative Nelly in the room. You know, it's okay to question things, but you don't want to be someone that just questions it to just question it. You want to have a reason for it. You want to have a great attitude that you feel positive about moving forward. You want progress, not stay the same, because we're moving so fast as a society. If you sit still as someone in a job, you're going to probably lose your job in 5 years, because that job's going to change as requirements change. It's how we need to move faster and better. You need to have perseverance. Life just doesn't lay in front of you and just happen. Retirement just doesn't happen. The new job just doesn't happen. The promotion just doesn't happen. It's imperative that you be persistent. Remember, that boss that you do not like right now, it's inevitably that he or she is going to probably move on, get fired, or get promoted. And guess who's standing in the wings waiting? The person that served them well and did it and persevered through their job. So perseverance is huge. A lot of times we quit just a day short of being successful. You have to have an ability to adapt. There is no sitting still anymore, as I said earlier. You need to have an ability to adapt and be open to learning new things so that you can be better for your jobs. There's 3 things you need to have to be worthy in this economy. You need to have had some level of education more than high school. You have to have a technical training school, some kind of degree. You need to have a work skill that is valued in the economy, that people want to pay good money for. If it's not valued, it won't. And you have to do it with excellence. And that all encompasses this of having a good attitude, perseverance, ability to adapt. And one big key is you got to be able to communicate well. Practice communicating. Everything, relationships with your wife or husband, friends. I'm never amazed when it says, boy, we got such a lack of communication here. You need to get on board with learning how to communicate. And so I want to, in the here and now, as we move in the next few minutes, I want to encourage you that you need to live in the moment today, because you never know when's going to happen. This girl, Chelsea, that was my cousin's daughter, she was 19 when she had a spontaneous aneurysm. And 7 months later, after she gave birth to her baby, she was 7 months pregnant, she passed away at 19. She lived a great life to 19. But I use that story to just share with people that you don't ever know when you're going to have that moment. And so it's live in the here and now and enjoy every day as if you don't have tomorrow. But here's the thing. If you've lived, some people are 55 and they're going, Tom, I've lived 55 years, man. It's too late. I'm like, it's never too late. Not many people know it, but Ray Kroc, the guy that founded McDonald's, did not find his first McDonald's till he was 52 years old. I don't care if you're 70 years old, it's never too late to start living life and living life large, and being personally fulfilled. So a lot of people have asked me, Tom, how do I do this personal GDP thing? And here's how we do it. If you go to my website, tommorrison.biz, and hover over my book option at the top right, you'll see at the bottom it says personal GDP rating form. It's a spreadsheet. And you simply put in the date, and I usually encourage people to do this every quarter. but you simply rate your scale on an average of 1 to 10 in all 12 of the areas. And at the bottom, it's going to give you a personal GDP rating. And you look at that rating right there. I would say my rating, if you're never going to live a 10.0 because everybody's always got some area that's kind of not good. And a 9.0 I think is over zealous, but an 8.0 and above I think is accomplishable. But here's what you look at. When you actually sit down and if you're honest with yourself and you wake up and you go, wow, 7.1 is my GDP. Am I satisfied living a 7.1 life that encompasses everything around me, my professional life, my personal life, my relationships, my money, my being? It's 7.1, and for most people it's not. But until you sit down and actually look at that, you really don't know that you're living a 7.1 life because you never thought about it. And the cool thing is, as you see here, there's 5s in financials and health. You know exactly where to go put your focus on improving so that 7.1 can grow to an 8.0 or better. So I would encourage you to really look at this and talk about it with your spouse, talk about it with friends, but sit down and talk about these 12 areas and see how you can improve those. So in coming around turn 4, there's 3 things that start with the letter P I want to encourage you to do as you work through. One, I want you to come away from here. I want you to go find your passion. And a lot of it you can find in your workplace because association work is so amazing because we get to make a difference. But find your passion of what fuels your soul and makes you enjoy and happy every day. The next thing is I want you to go out and really try and get research on understanding personalities, the different ones. Personalities are why we have lack of communication. The way I'm speaking to someone who's a different personality, they may not hear what I'm saying, because I'm saying it in a way that makes sense to me, but they don't hear it. So whether it's DISC or there's some great videos on YouTube, just type in different personalities and watch those videos, watch TED Talks on different personalities and understand them, because you want to say something to someone on how they can hear you. And to understand personalities, there's networking. And here's a great little tip that I give people on how to network. Not everybody knows how to walk into a room of associations and connect in with everybody in the room. But when you walk in, there's a little thing called form. When you get your cocktail or your drink or your Coke or whatever you drink and you're walking around and you meet someone, people like to talk about their family. So you say, you know, where are you from? You got family around here? You have kids? How's your dad's industry? You said he was in the such and such business. And you talk about their family. And then you begin to ask questions about their occupation. So what do you do for a living? And once you get through those, then it's recreation time. It's my time at the end. But that system has worked so well for me, and it makes people think that you're really interested in them, not just interested in talking about yourself. So that's a key networking tip. So, and the last thing is the power of party. And party, that's me in St. Louis at ASAE Annual playing drums, but your party may be backpacking, it may be on the beach reading, it may be gardening, it may be playing music. But you need to find your party that you do as much as you can and refresh your soul, because that's half the battle of just being involved and getting a personally fulfilled life. So if you'd like more insight on some of the stuff you've heard and get more detailed, I've got a very good book that has sold well on Amazon called How to Get People to Scream Your Name and Beg for More. That was my first development book. And you can just go on Amazon and type in Scream Your Name book, and it'll pop up and you can buy it. They have specials on there and stuff, but that'll give you a little bit more insight. So your checklist, I'm a big person that likes to give someone a checklist at the end of any conference or webinar. So if you really want to maximize your personal fulfillment and see your professional development and life grow, it's imperative that you go back and create those goals for each of those 4 areas. Sit down and talk about your personal GDP, check in quarterly on it, find your passion, understand your personalities, and live your party often so you can get to each and every day and say, I left it all on the table. You don't want to wait till the spot on your chest and the doctor says that's going to be a problem before you start to live life. So that is everything I have today, and I just love this topic because it feeds me, because I want to come into work every day and really gel into why we do what we do, and I want to be personally fulfilled, not just professionally fulfilled. So Kevin and Sherry, I will turn it back to you if there's any questions from anybody.
Yeah, sure, Tom. Thank you so much. Someone did ask, Aaron did ask if you will get the presentation. Yes, all of the attendees will get a copy of Tom's presentation, as well as a link to the recording of the presentation. So we'll get that out to you later today. We can use the chat window for questions, but another question, Tom, that was just handed to me was, so what do you do when you have that boss who is that obstacle to your career? So, you know, you love your job, but the boss takes all of the wind out of your sails every day. How do you deal with that?
Well, first of all, everyone, what has gotten me where I've been with bosses just like that is we have to first realize that we work under their reign, and our goal is to sit down with a boss like that and say, hey, I think we're missing something because I feel maybe some tension. So I just want to know, what can I do to help you be successful? A lot of people don't like to look at their boss and say, how can I help you be more successful? But that's what you're there to do, because they're your promoter. They're going to promote you, give you raises, and so you got to be a hero and a champion for them to get them to turn. Because remember, a boss is like a parent sometimes. Our parents all have stuff they've gone through in their life and have a past that make them parent either good or bad. Bosses have experiences and knowledge and things that's in their past and distrust their relationships. So it's not really about them as who they are, and it's just how they deal with life. And I told this one employee in an association, just be persistent, stick it out. She will not be there very much longer. 4 months later, she ends up coming in and giving a resignation. And guess who got the promotion to be the director of the education certification? She did. So I think you just have to try and find your spot. Now, if it's abusive, you need to report it. But if it's not, if it's just you got a personal conflict and you like your job, try and bridge the gap by having open, honest, and authentic conversations about what can you do to help them be more successful, because that's what they want. And a lot of bosses, if they're that bad a boss, it's usually because they're intimidated by you and your skill sets, and the only way to cut your legs out and keep them the boss is for you to make sure that you know their boss. You need to tell them, look, I understand you're the boss here, and I want to be here to serve you and help you be successful with this company. And that really does pull the guard down for them, because now they're thinking that they can trust you.
Okay. So, one of the things when I was listening to you, Tom, was about the automation and disruptive technologies out there, and as we're heading into this fourth industrial revolution. So with all of that automation you spoke of, how do we prepare for the future workforce?
I think, well, if you're an individual, I think you have to be reading, listening to, I go in and when I work out, I listen to TED Talks constantly. I look at 2 every day, talking about there's lots on there about what change is coming our way in healthcare and automation, robotics, artificial intelligence. And you need to be talking to people in your industry about where those changes are going to lie. Because I go back to, you want to be involved in maybe the companies that's going to build the machines are going to be the robots, and so it's about knowledge. You need to investigate, where would you like to be working in 5 to 10 years? Because you don't want to make a bad choice because you could be out of job. So it really boils down to, instead of watching Seinfeld, 22 episodes of that, watch 15 episodes and watch 5 episodes of how it's made or TED Talks, but just be in the know. That's where people are making the mistake, is they're not becoming knowledgeable enough about the future, where we're headed, to make good choices about where they want to be as a person and who they want to serve.
Great. I have another question here from Emilio. And any tips for building up professional certifications and self-learning while working full-time and being very busy?
I think you need to choose the industries that you potentially want to serve in, or what your passions are. Because, in the world of associations, there's an association for everything. So if you love animals, you could go work for the Humane Society. If you like housing, you could work for Happy Jacks or the home builders. So you can work in anything. But for certifications, I think you need to really investigate what certifications are available in industries that you would like to work in, and then look at pursuing those. And then the other thing is just, I know today a lot of things is micro-learning. Most of my learning now comes from watching YouTube videos and lynda.com. I've got a membership to lynda.com. It's $34.99, unlimited use of their 5,500 courses. So I look at courses on there periodically. And then, like I say, TED Talk. So it's just a matter of getting, what do you think is going to do that second thing I talked about? You said what's going to give you the skill sets that's going to be most valuable that people in the future are going to want to pay you for. And that's just a matter of learning, seeping into what do you want to do for a living, where are those opportunities, and what certifications need to be there to do that. Well, Kevin, thank you and Sherry so much for inviting me to be here. I can now go grab my martini and run off to Punta Cana, but I hope everybody on this call really takes what I said seriously about life is not going to come at you. It's imperative you move towards it. So look at your GDP every quarter and just look at those areas where you can improve and set those goals each year. I promise you 10 years from now, you'll say, man, this really helped me move my life to a great place.